I think it's time for a drink, actually.
Yes, please.
It's going to be a very interesting choice today. Susie's not in the pub, she's actually in the studio, which is always a very lovely thing, but she's brought her trolley with her.
On the train.
And what have you selected, please?
I've selected a red ale. It's called No Rest for Dancers, and it's 5.6%. It's a very delicious one to start the week with.
A little bit strong, 5.6.
That's okay, 5.6.
You only want one, though, don't you?
Yeah.
At the end of the show.
Oh, yeah.
What's it doing being red?
It's tasty.
Okay, very good. It's not quite enough. Anyway, today's confession is one of those that is just... Oh, okay, Belgium, that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
This is an anonymous confession for reasons that you are about to find out.
Wow.
It's not just anonymous, it's very anonymous.
Oh, dear.
Simon and the Confessional Collective. I'm writing to beg forgiveness for a 400-year-old misdemeanor. Well, it's the early 1980s, but it feels like it was a different century, to be perfectly honest. Committed during my earnest but occasionally chaotic days as a student social worker. Back then, in order to qualify, alongside our university training, we had to complete 2 lengthy placements and, crucially, pass both of them. My final placement was in a busy inner-city children's social work team where my fellow student, let's call him Stevie, and I were flung into the deep end of social care with the confidence of youth and about as much access to technology as a Tudor blacksmith. This was the 1980s. No mobiles, no internet, and only one office landline between 4 desks. There was one computer in the building, a beast the size of an oven, but students were several rungs below eligible to touch it. To be honest, we were barely allowed to even look at it. So, to the incident in question. Stevie was having what is politely known in social work as a shocker, covering duty, juggling crises, and trying to type case notes into the sacred office computer before someone senior turned them off it. In a moment of desperation and possibly misjudged trust, Stevie handed me a scrap of paper and asked me to collect a little boy, let's call him Barnaby, from nursery and bring him back for family contact with his mum. I, keen to impress and blissfully unaware of the consequences of enthusiasm untempered by detail, set off. The note said, Barnaby, then the name of the nursery, and off I went, A to Z in hand. For younger listeners, this was like Google Maps.
Yes, it was.
But printed and forever out of date. What I didn't know, and crucially what Stevie also didn't mention, was that there are 3 nurseries in the area with very, very similar names. Undeterred, I marched into the one I thought was correct, proudly flashing my ID, which was a passport photo glued onto a letterhead and, if you were lucky, laminated. Wow. I'm here for Barnaby, I chirped. There's my ID. The nursery worker looked a little puzzled, in hindsight very puzzled, but after a brief pause handed me the child. I took his hand, smiled warmly, strapped him carefully into the car seat, gold star for health and safety, and returned to the office triumphant. Here's Barnaby, I declared. Stevie swiveled round. Eyebrows shot up, jaw dropped. Beads of sweat began forming, mouth forming a perfect O shape.
Oh, no.
That's not Barnaby.
Oh, no, wrong Barnaby.
Oh, no.
He's the wrong child.
Oh, dear.
Cue internal screaming. It dawned on us, far too late, that I'd gone to the wrong nursery and collected the wrong child. There I stood, holding not Barnaby, who was looking up at me with the innocent trust of a child and perhaps mild confusion about where the biscuits were. I bolted. Back in the car, not Barnaby and I made our second journey together, this one slightly faster and a lot more awkward. I returned him to the nursery just in time for snacks, which somehow softened the blow. The nursery worker and I shared a look that best described as, let's not speak of this again. And I left him nibbling on a digestive like nothing had ever happened. Not Barnaby, who was none the wiser, being thankfully pre-verbal and, let's face it, more interested in raisins than scandal.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Stevie had dashed to the correct nursery and retrieved the actual Barnaby. Father Simon, remember this is the 1980s.
Yeah.
I plead forgiveness, first of all, to not Barnaby, who got an unexpected field trip and a bonus snack. I plead forgiveness to not Barnaby's family, who obviously never signed a consent form for events like this. To the nursery staff, who probably needed a stiff drink and a lie down. And to my younger self, who somehow still went on to qualify and later supervised many more cautious student social workers. And in case you're wondering, after a lot of support, actual Barnaby was successfully reunited with his mum. And Stevie and I, we both had long, blemish-free careers in social work, despite this near career-ending hiccup. Yours in eternal penance.
So he passed.
He passed.
He passed.
He passed, yes.
Oh, my
I think no
goodness.
one ever spoke of it again.
Oh, well, then that's fine, yeah.
That makes it okay.
He said,
How do
long,
you fail?
blemish-free... Yes,
The wrong kid.
long, blemish-free careers in social work, despite this near-ending career hiccup.
Okay.
Yours in eternal penance, a once misguided but well-meaning social work student, with kindest regards, Anonymous. As I said, for obvious reasons.
Wow.
I think this is the kind of thing that you come out and confess to, like Anonymous has done, as you near the end of your career.
Once retired.
As you're
Yeah.
about to retire, you say, I did get this thing slightly wrong.
Very wrong.
Very wrong. Anyway, Sister Susie goes first.
Yeah, it sounds like the Wild West of social work. But I don't know, maybe back in the 80s was a very long time. But you can't just wander into the wrong. Just make sure you get it right. Maybe it was also some part Stevie's fault. He should have said, by the way, there's a couple of nurseries with that name, so make sure you've got the right one. Just taking a moment beforehand could have solved all of this problem, couldn't it? And you just can't take the wrong child, the poor child.
They were going through it. It was a bad day, and
The staff were handing over
Everyone
the
makes-
wrong child. They just went, oh yeah, of course, take him.
I played the wrong version of a Blondie song.
Yeah.
I mean, we all make
Very
mistakes.
much like that.
No, not the same. Not forgiven.
Brother
Too
Matthew.
terrible.
Yeah, I'm going to forgive. Well done on passing the Anonymous. I'm not sure what you'd have to do to fail. I'm going to forgive because really, is it just me, or is it actually all the nursery's fault? Number one, they've all got similar names. No one thought of that. No one thought, let's call ourselves something different because there's like 3 others who've got the same name as us.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
only also
also some
nursery's
random
fault.
bloke turns up with a letterhead in his passport photo and says, I'd like one of your children, please. Maybe just check that Barnaby is the right Barnaby. So yes, it's all the nursery's fault, and therefore the system. And for that reason,
Yes.
I'm going to forgive.
61054 is our text number. You start your verdict with Simon, please. 61054, the people's verdict. Just before the news, we had a confession, an anonymous confession from a social worker who basically went to the wrong nursery, picked up the wrong child, but it all got sorted and everyone lived happily ever after. But the people's verdict is in. Here it comes.
Not forgiven, says Georgia in Chester. If you work as a social worker, surely you've got to be pretty vigilant about taking the right child. That's rule number 1. Sarah in Norfolk says, forgiven, no harm done. The child was fine. All returned safely. And Kathy from Devon says, I'm with Matt. The nursery are at fault here. No signed forms, no child. Terrible system.
Okay, that's very good. Thank you very much. If you have a confession, please send it to confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. You need now is just a drink before you proceed. Fortunately, the drinks trolley is provided. Sue's from the pub. What do we have today?
I've gone for a kaleidoscope, which is a very delicious kind of pale ale from Wiper and True. And they recently did a special version, which was limited edition, and it was donated to charity, all of the profits.
Okay, very nice. Okay, well, we'll keep one for the end of the show. Today's confession comes from Sid. All right, Sid. Father Simon and the rest of the Forgiving Collective. PG certificate.
Oh,
My
dear.
confession is set over 30 years ago at a time when employers didn't really support or even allow young fathers-to-be time off to accompany their wives' prenatal hospital appointments. These were different times.
They were, yes.
The only way I could attend with my wife Andrea was to take the whole day off, which would have had to been taken for, this was taken out of my 20 days annual holiday entitlement. Holidays were phenomenally important and were not to be frittered away. So I was not keen to take a whole day off for an appointment that lasted 1 hour. And in any case, there was sure to be further hospital visits ahead, and I could end up losing all my annual holidays at that rate. And this was not acceptable. So I went to my boss and presented my case. I pleaded, really, for an hour off to take my wife to her hospital appointment. Well, amazingly, he was receptive to the idea, and he agreed, but said that I must return to work immediately the appointment was over. He was obviously a pioneer in employee welfare and fluffiness.
Fluffiness.
That's what Sid calls it.
Okay.
I thanked him profusely and agreed to return as soon as it was over.
Yeah.
So at the allotted time, I popped out of work to pick up my wife and take her to the scan. The appointment went well, and we were thrilled to see the blurry image of our baby on the enormous black and white CRT screen. It was over nice and quickly, and I was ready to drop my wife off at home on my way back to work. But she then asked me to stop off at the local Marks and Spencer's on the way home to get some new bras. I was a bit worried as I was due to go back to work immediately it was all over, but with a desire to support my wife in any way I could, I dutifully agreed.
Okay, we're in the bra section, everyone. Here it comes.
We're moving into
Yeah.
carry on confessing.
Yes, yeah.
So now we're in M&S, wandering around the women's lingerie department. I felt a bit uncomfortable. This is what Sid's written. I felt a bit uncomfortable mingling amongst the frillies, but I stuck.
Amongst the frillies.
I stuck with it.
Yeah.
Then after releasing my wife and realizing that my wife had wandered off, I was now alone in the department. This felt wrong, so I decided to go and stand at the edge of the floor. Marks and Spencer's had a couple of steps that led away out of the department, so I stood on the top of those. Now remember, I'd just come from work, so I was dressed in a dark suit and tie, which was normal for engineers in those days. I was minding my own business, waiting patiently for my wife, when a young woman came up to me. She'd presumably mistaken me for the M&S lingerie floor manager.
Of course. Here it comes.
It's are you being served time?
Yeah.
She asked me whether thongs were exhibited.
Oh, of course.
Amazingly, from my elevated position on the steps, I could actually see the display of thongs.
Yes.
So I pointed her in the right direction, and she went away happy. A moment later, another woman came up to me, also mistaking me for the floor manager, asked me if we sold wedding day lingerie.
Ooh.
Is that a special thing?
I say. Well, let's hope so.
Again, I was actually able to help as I'd passed that section
Oh, there's a whole section of
on
it.
the way
Brilliant.
out of the department.
Fun times.
So I directed her to the right area. I continued to twiddle my thumbs, waiting for my wife. Where is she? When a substantial woman came up to me, she had similarly mistaken me for the lingerie floor manager.
Another one. Yeah.
Wowzer.
She asked me,
Yes.
did we provide a bust measuring service here? So my response was, Father Simon, inappropriate. But in those days,
Yes.
we didn't know that.
No, we didn't know that
So
then.
I said,
fine.
yes, madam, I can provide that service, but I must tell you I don't actually work here. Her face turned purple with a disdainful frown that could curdle milk at 100 yards, and she scuttled away, muttering obscenities at me under her breath. Thankfully, my wife then reappeared. I still don't know where she was, and we made a swift exit before there were any repercussions for my inappropriate behaviour. I don't actually ask forgiveness from the first two women who mistook me for the lingerie floor manager, as I actually helped them. I don't even ask forgiveness for upsetting the substantial woman and her requirements. However, I do ask for forgiveness for abusing the trust that my boss had in me, and for not returning to work as soon as the scan was over, as I had promised, when instead I went to M&S with my wife. I have stewed over this for decades, but with your help, I can finally move on from this dreadful episode. Hopefully the forgiving collective can find it in their hearts to provide some forgiveness. Well, I don't know about that. Let's check in with Sister Suze, who is very stern on these matters.
Well, I just think you should have said, I know you want to support your wife, Sid, but you just should have said, you know what, I can't take you to M&S right now because I need to get back to work.
But her wife, by that, that's not going to go down
to
very
M&S
well.
another time. Also, I don't understand what the embarrassment of is men being on the lingerie shop floor. They're all underwear. We've all seen them.
Yes.
You've all got them.
But you don't want to hang
could have
around
just
there.
said, do you know what? I don't work here. And then it would have been solved. I just think, if very silly, you got yourself in a right kerfuffle and you didn't need to. You could have just been honest and stopped being embarrassed. So, not forgiven.
Yeah,
from
I
me.
kind of.
Yeah,
I'm not quite convinced by that.
No,
Brother Matthew.
Yeah, it's a bit of a minefield for husbands in
No,
that
it's
department.
not.
It is.
Everybody's got pants.
Too many
Yeah. Too
Not
many
good for you.
frillies. Keep your eyes on the floor. Stay very close to your wife. That kind of thing.
Don't offer to measure
I'm
someone's...
on my phone.
No. Yes, I'm on my phone. I don't choose to be here. So I'm going to forgive. I mean, he was doing his best in paying attention. That's what he was doing.
He was.
Because he knew where the thongs were. He knew where the wedding day one was. Knew
much.
everything.
Yes.
He paid attention to everything in the frillies. So and didn't abuse the boss's fluffiness either. So he was doing everything right. Well done. Definitely forgiven.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. So it's the people's verdict, please, for Sid. 61054. But before we go any further, let's clear up the confession from just before 6 o'clock when Sid told us about a prenatal hospital appointment with his wife, a trip to the Marks & Spencer's lingerie department, and how he was mistaken for the departmental manager with hilarious consequences. Matt has the people's verdict.
Forgiven, says Carl in Aberdeen. Top bloke, I'd have said the same. Andy sent the ladies in the right direction. Faye in North Lincolnshire says, forgiven, I don't have kids, but I know most men would say it's best to keep an expectant lady happy. And he clearly looked approachable and professional to the ladies that he did help. Shame on the store for having no other obvious staff on the floor to answer those awkward questions. Forgive. But Rita says, not forgiven. How pompous, what a prude. He didn't mind taking those garments off, did he, 9 months previously?
Okay. I think
Nice work, Rita.
You think so? Okay, your confession, please, if that's spurred a thought. Confessions at greatesthitsradio.co.uk. Okay, it's 5:48 in need of... I quite fancy... I mean, obviously, I'll take whatever I'm given. A nice rosé would be good, but let's see, what have you chosen there, Suze?
I like this one a bit better than you, I think. I've gone for a dark and stormy ginger beer, squeeze of lime, and a spiced rum. I would go with Kraken because it's quite delicious. And yeah, tasty.
Dark and stormy, I think Matt is nodding very, very happily
love that.
at that. He'll
Yeah.
take half a pint. Thank you very much. Indeed. Today's confession comes from Marjorie. This eventually will ring some bells.
Oh.
Here we go. Father Simon and the Wonderful Collective. I am a happily married woman in my mid-40s. Whenever a confession starts like that, you know there's going to be circumstances that might suggest that that is not true. I have 2 beautiful teenage daughters, a loving husband, and a funny 3-year-old black and white cat called Eugene. We all live a conventional, happy existence, facing all of life's little ups and downs together. And fingers crossed, we seem to do a pretty decent job of navigating them all.
Yes.
One of my hobbies that I enjoy very much is cooking. And this week I have made 2 pies. A golden brown, rich crusted beef and ale pie.
Ooh, lovely.
And a creamy seasonal vegetable pie.
Tasty.
Ordinarily, I would choose a nice piece of beef and ale pie, but this week I went for some of my girls' favourite veggie pies instead. My husband was perfectly okay with this. All the more for me, he said happily, when taking his second portion of beef and ale pie. I love my husband very much, and I know he loves me back in equally vast amounts. I enjoyed more than ever watching him tucking into his pie this week, complimenting me on my pastry and the meaty goodness inside. A slightly different flavour and texture than usual, but still delicious, he had exclaimed whilst emptying his plate. Now that my husband didn't realise, but what I'm about to confess to you is the extra special ingredients that were used to make his evening meal.
Oh, no.
Which were, to be precise, 6 sachets of Felix As Good As It Gets beef in jelly cat food.
Okay.
These pouches are usually what fills our little Eugene's cat bowl each night. Not what my husband typically eats after a hard day's work. I have never cooked with cat food before, and I never will again. But it seemed to be the perfect ingredients on this occasion. Father Simon, this is all very unlike me, but I was taken suddenly by an overwhelming urge, a desire to use these extra ingredients. So why was my husband unknowingly eating Eugene's cat food? Well, a few weeks ago, I had been enjoying the daily confession whilst cooking our evening meal. That day's confession was a shocking story centred around an unfortunate incident at passport control in London Heathrow.
Oh, this one, yes.
As I listened and watched, my husband was smirking. and I realised that this story was about me.
Oh, yeah.
You see, around 20 years ago, my husband and I had gone on holiday to the city they named twice. We'd had a lovely time, but on arriving back at Heathrow, we'd managed to somehow lose each other when visiting the airport toilets. I had ended up at passport control at 3 a.m. without my passport, distraught and in tears. I was worried that I might not be let back into the country. I remember pleading with the staff to go and find my husband so that he could provide my passport. I still vividly remember one of the senior team members saying, "She's definitely British, let her through," and the incredible relief that I felt at that moment. I've always thought this to be a genuine mistake by my husband. I was horrified to find, via your show, that I had apparently gotten on his nerves and had been ditched instead. And he knew exactly what he was doing when he took my passport through to the other side. I was left to the mercy of the airport staff. So just like in Roald Dahl's The Twits, when Mrs. Twit plays nasty tricks on Mr. Twit by feeding him worms hidden inside his spaghetti, I decided I needed retribution. I took even greater pleasure the following evening when my husband reheated the remainder of the pie and put it in the microwave for his supper. So, Father Simon, I seek your forgiveness for what I have done. I think the fact that he really enjoyed eating his beef and ale cat food pie should go at least some way to helping exonerate my sins. Don't worry, our beloved Eugene did not go hungry that night. Despite losing all his beef in jelly sachets, I gave him some tuna instead. Despite how this may seem, I really am a verily happy married woman to a very lovely man who I've just given some cat food to. But Father Simon, for this break in my otherwise usually exemplary conduct, I seek your forgiveness. Well, the reason is this is particularly tasteful, not only because the pies were very tasteful, because the original confession was very good, but also the revenge equally administered through this show. And so obviously husband is finding out about it right now to this very moment and choking on his food. I think very good. I'm nodding you through here, Marge. I'll put you in the fast track lineup, I think. Let's go to Susie first of all. What do you say, Suze?
Yeah, but I kind of want to side with Marge here. That confession was shocking. Like, she could have got deported back to New York, couldn't she? And just because he wanted a little bit of time to himself, and he knew what he was doing. And I think, I'm really struggling to find out what she did wrong, because he enjoyed the pie. He didn't know what was in it. He went back for seconds. He liked it. The cat still got fed. I just feel like maybe he did deserve it, and I'm gonna stick with Marge and stick with the wife and forgive her.
It was fairly shocking that he knew absolutely deliberately that he'd taken the passport through to the other side and then let her struggle. So, Brother Matthew, off you go.
As I remember it, because she had been annoying on the plane, which was obviously not a good enough reason for abandoning your wife at passport control. So, yes, I'm going to forgive, because he had it coming, didn't he, with the beef and ale. And the cat food's perfectly fine. Don't they test that on humans? I think they do, probably. And the jelly. We all enjoy jelly. And, so in a way, he loved the pie. So it's always revenge best served cold, or indeed in a pie. So for all those reasons, I'm going to forgive.
Okay, all right, so it's down to the people's verdict, please. Do you forgive Marjorie today for her cold revenge? Let's deal with our confession, which came from Marge, and a tale of pies, passports, and revenge served hot, and relating to a previous confession, so gains maximum points. What is the people's verdict?
Everyone forgives tonight. Anne in Cannock says, before you'd even finished reading, I'd forgiven. Karma is a pie served with chunks of Felix. Brilliant. Tim from Sutton Coldfield, definitely forgiven. What a hilarious revenge story. No one was hurt, and the pie was a success. Indeed, top breeders recommend it. And Chrissy in Tamworth says, forgiven. I've given dog food pie to 3 of my 4 husbands. All homemade, of course. I don't regret it at all. Fair play to her.
I've given dog food pie to 3 of my 4 husbands.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure it's fine.
There's a tale to be told there. Chrissy in Tamworth. All right, confessions at greatesthitsradio.co.uk. New podcast tomorrow.